With the dominance shifting out of the altcoins and currently shifting back into Bitcoin, the question now becomes, is this the time to start looking for those pullbacks that we were setting up for on my last show on Sunday? I'm going to be giving you an update on some of the coins that we talked about on that show, as well as where we are in the cycle with Bitcoin, because the way that it works is that if Bitcoin is about to erupt, it is going to affect everything else. When Bitcoin is being stable and not doing anything, that is the altcoin's opportunity to do something. And that's what we've been experiencing over the last couple of days, with Bitcoin being very, very boring and hanging around the one price level. We've had the opportunity for altcoins to have their run. But now that Bitcoin is waking up, we have to assess whether that is all over and now how the movement of Bitcoin is about to affect altcoins. So if that's the kind of thing you're interested in, be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and let's get into this video. So having a look at the dominances first, you can see here on the left-hand side, I have the Bitcoin dominance, and we can see that we've started to have a shift to the upside for that one. We also have in the middle the stablecoin USDT dominance is having a shift to the upside, and currently the rest of the total market cap, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, is having a shift to the downside. So the way trading essentially works is everything is just a money shift, and sometimes it's a money shift within the same ecosystem, being cryptocurrency, and sometimes it's a shift into other markets. So we might see money come out of cryptocurrency and move into gold, or move into the stock market, or something like that. So we're always should be having a look at all markets to decide, where is the money shift right now? Is it still isolated to cryptocurrency, but it's just shifting from one thing to another? Or is the whole market experiencing a change in trend and we're having a shift into other markets? Now, usually what will affect something like that is a news event. So just note that today's Wednesday, and when you trade this method, around Wednesday, Thursday is when we would expect a midweek reversal. Midweek reversals set us up for our 3-day swing trade that takes us into the end of the week. So we start looking for that usually around a news event. A news event will trigger that midweek reversal, providing we're at the right levels. So I'm going to go through that with you now. We're going to focus on Bitcoin first, and then I'm going to take you through some of the altcoins that we talked about on Sunday. So taking a look at Bitcoin, we can see here that, as usual, we had our Monday false move, and this here was the reversal signal at the end of the false move, which didn't give us an M formation on the 15-minute time frame. It just gave us an inverted V. Sometimes that happens, and in this case, that's what we ended up with. But that inverted V led us to the level 1 drop. And that's when we went into the sideways price action almost for the whole of yesterday until US, where price got really tricky and boring and sideways, and everybody was over it and bored and waiting for Bitcoin to actually do something. So what we had yesterday in the heat maps was we did have a fairly decent level of short orders that were waiting at 29,450. And I did post about that on my Twitter here to let you guys know that there was significant shorts at 29,450. And this post was before we had this spike right here into them. So be sure to follow my Twitter if you're not already following it, so that I can do these sorts of updates for you in between live sessions on YouTube, because I wasn't trading this myself. I am still short from 30,700. So I didn't feel the need to take a new short, but, and also I was just in a bad mood. So I don't trade when I'm in a bad mood, but I did see the setup there. So I tried to put it out there for you guys. So that's what happened. We spiked into those short orders that were sitting there on the heat maps. And I'm going to go through the new heat map orders as well for you guys. And that's what then sent price moving down. So that's given us the level 2 drop. So if you are brand new to my personal way of trading, the model that I trade works like this. You'll have a W formation, which is the signal of a trend change. So it's a signal of that we're moving into a bullish trend. The W takes us into rise 1, retracement, rise 2, retracement, rise 3. Once we have the third rise, we will usually then get the lower high, and that lower high forms the M formation, which is the reversal signal, and that takes us into drop 1, retracement, drop 2, retracement, drop 3. This all usually plays out over a period of a week and usually on the 15-minute time frame. I mean, it gets more advanced than that, but at a very basic level, this is what we're looking for week to week, and it can go the other way. So if the week starts with the M formation, in the midweek, we're looking for the reversal W formation. So now when we go back to the current price, as I said to you, this here, we got the inverted V instead of the M, which can happen. And this here was the sideways consolidation. So between each level, you can have a consolidation or a retracement. And in consolidation, we have to learn who they're trapping before they make the next big move. This right here was trapping longs, because what would have happened at the time is people would have drawn resistance here because we had 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. So resistance here, breakout traders. They don't want to miss breakouts when price goes sideways for so long, and they put long orders just above there like that. So that if price breaks out, it picks up their long order and they're in for the big move. This is typical when you see indicators like Bollinger Bands, Titan and whatnot. People start to think a big move must be coming, and it's 100% a trap. So a big move does come, but it usually stops you out the wrong way before it comes. And that's what happens right here. Then as you can see, price continues down to the next level. So if you know that, then you can start to identify traps in consolidation. I call this the board meeting because it's, well, some people call it the board meeting because it's boring, but I call it the board meeting because it's literally where a decision is being made. It's a bunch of market makers around a table, not literally, but we identify it as a bunch of market makers around a table discussing. Sorry guys, if you can hear that noise, I'm in Bali and Bali is very loud. So I hope that the background noise isn't too much for you guys, but we're going to have to deal with this together for the next month while I'm here. But anyway, so yeah, that's what's happening is market makers are accumulating and assessing who's opening positions so that they can do their final damage here to spike you one way before they make the next big move. And the point of that is because that's how they accumulate their own contracts. It's not like they're sitting there going, how can we hurt people? Like, it's not that. It's just that market makers can't trade like retail. You know, us retail, we can just go put a limit order on the exchange and wait for it to get filled, and our whole position gets filled, and then we hope it goes the right way. But market makers' position sizes are so large that if they were just to go put a limit order, A, it would never get filled at the one price, and B, it would move the market if they were to do market orders and things like that. So in order to control how they slowly buy over time, they send price into consolidation, and then when they're ready to fill the final part of their bags, they do this, and that is what ends up stopping out retail. So once you start to read how that is happening, anytime you see price in consolidation, you'll stop getting stopped out of trades. I did a Twitter post asking what is the most frustrating thing you find about trading, and there were some comments about being constantly stopped out, and my answer to that was, put your entry where you'd normally put your stop loss. It almost instantly changes your results. So if you're finding that happens to you as well, try that for a week and see how you go. Because as market makers know that retail traders draw resistance lines. They know that at an estimation, everybody's going to put their stop loss in the same spot. So a little wick like this wipes them all out, damage done, then they're free to move away. So we've now had that level 2 drop, and according to the model, there should be one more level to go. So let's have a look at the Asia session, because there's a few things that's going to give us an idea as to whether or not we're going to get this third level. And also, if we get the third level, we want to then start looking for the reversal signal that will tell us whether it's done, the damage to the downside is done, and we should start looking for long positions. Now, as I said, that usually happens with a news event. So we want to have a look at what's going on for the rest of this week. And we do have, so these guys, this time is in Bali time. But you can go to forexfactory.com/calendar, and up here where the time is, if you just click on that, you can put it into your own time zone. But at 2 a.m. this morning coming up in Bali, we have the FOMC meeting minutes. Now, I don't expect that necessarily to be the midweek reversal trigger unless there is something unexpected in that. And the reason for that is because the meeting minutes, if we expand this, you can see here, it's just a detailed record of the FOMC's most recent meeting, meaning that the news is already out on that, right? So we already know what happened there. And so the only way this will have effect is if there's something unexpected that we didn't hear during the FOMC meeting that comes out that causes people to panic, I guess, or to be excited. It could go either way. So I'm not really sure that will be the one. It can be. At the end of the day, guys, news events are all about liquidity. It doesn't even matter what the result is. But anyway, that's a rant for another day. So the other option we have is the unemployment claims, which will come out a few hours after that, or more than a few hours, about actually many hours, 8:30 p.m. Dubai. No, I'm not in Dubai. I'm in Bali. 8:30 p.m. Bali time on Thursday. So these are the two to watch out for to potentially give us that trend reversal where we're going to look for the W formation. Why a W? Because we're in the downtrend. So we're looking for a 3-level drop into a W to give us the signal that this might reverse, and then we're going to the upside. Now, where might that come? If there is still one more level to go, then we have a look at what orders are currently waiting on the heat maps that might give us a target for our final third drop, providing we get it. We can see that currently we've got 1K orders still waiting at $29,000. And then underneath that, we have here another 1K at $28,005. So one of those two levels may cause the bounce. I also did, where is it? I did this Twitter update. This one was actually last week, where I said it's possible we're in a higher time frame market reset, which over time could have us seeing 28.6 again. So it is possible that is where we're headed before we have any type of trend change. But what I want to focus in on now is we are about to have a session changeover. So currently Asia is about to finish their session in 6 minutes. And then we go into a half-hour gap, and then we will have the UK session open up. These sessions are where you look for the best signal for a potential reversal. So I want to show you what to look for as the UK opens up today. And whatever I'm about to tell you, if it doesn't happen over Asia into UK, you can also look for it from UK into US. It's the same setup. And I will go into more detail on this in the future, but I just want to give you this idea for the current price action. But essentially, you want to be able to apply this anytime you see it. So if we zoom in on the Asia session, it's these dots that you can see down here. And the gap is just the two little, well, how do I say this? There's no dots, but it's also not shaded. So you have here between 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York is called a dead gap zone. And it's where the market is technically open, but the market makers aren't on duty. So it's unpredictable price action, and we don't really like to take that into consideration. Once the dead gap zone finishes, we have a half-hour gap, the Asia gap, which is essentially where the market maker, in the olden days, because they're not really there anymore, but in the olden days, the market makers would have a meeting at the start of their session to decide where they were going to send price that day. And then the actual session opens. During that half hour, there's also pre-market price action. But again, we don't really worry too much about that in crypto. So the price can move right on that gap. So for that reason, when Asia finishes its session, one thing you can do to see whether we're going to have continuation or not is you grab your Fibonacci tool and you look for the highest point that price went during Asia, which is this green wick right here, and also the lowest point, which is this green wick right here. And you draw your fib from that top level to that bottom of that wick. And then you're going to just put a line, sorry, there's stuff in the way here. You're going to put a line at the 50% level. Now, when the new sessions start, so that is in UK or in US, This is where you're looking for breaks and retests to understand if price is going to go down further or if the trend is going to change from here. The only thing I don't particularly like about the current price action is that this low right here didn't break below these wicks right here. So that's a problem to me. Knowing that we have a news event coming up, news events can disrupt the cycle. So I just want to give you both scenarios so that you know what to look out for. As the news sessions open up, when you have your 50% area drawn from the Asia session, you're looking for price to retest that either in UK or in US. When it breaks it and retests it, that's your trigger to take a trade in whatever direction it's done that. So to give you an idea where price is right now, before I say that, ignore this price action because it's at the end of the session. The end of the session is always manipulated price action because it's the market makers of that session taking profit. So never, ever, ever open a trade within the last hour of a session. You're being set up for a trap. So we need to wait for UK to start or potentially US later. And then if price does break above the 50% line and then come back to retest it, as long as that is a successful retest right there, then we may not come down to that 29 and 28.5. We may bounce out from that area. Again, simply because it could be a liquidity grab before the news event. The other option is that it does the other thing. So whatever it's doing now in Asia, who cares? It might reject the 50 EMA, come back down, retest the 50% line. And if it did that, then you'd be confident that it's going down for those heat map long orders that we can see here at the 29 and then the 28.5 region. Once it does all of that, if it actually does hit one of those two levels, that's when you're going to start looking for W formations. And that is your reversal trade that should take you into Friday. Why would we look for that? Because we'll then have a level 1 drop, a level 2 drop, and our level 3 drop. So I personally never take level 3 trades. So whatever this does from here, I wouldn't be part of it anyway. I like to get the reverse. I'm a reversal trader. So I like to get my entries on the M and the W and just ride my trades for 3 days. So even if this setup presented an opportunity, I personally would let it go because I'm looking for the bigger move later, which is going to be the W formation after that has played out that either comes off the 29K or it might come off the 28.5 if it was a really dramatic drop. The other thing too is we have some pretty high levels of liquidity down below price. If we have a look at these heat maps, let me zoom in on this. Here we go. So we've got here 28,950 is a fairly high level below price. And then we've got 28,350 as well. If price comes down to those targets, it will hit those liquidations. We do have something above as well. We've got 29,850 and then 30,450. But those aren't something that I consider until I can see that the model is changing and we're starting to get that reversal W formation that signals that the move to the downside is over. So just know that they're there. So the moral of the story is that if we can continue down to the 29 or the 28.5 area, that's going to give those altcoins that have had a really big run that more decent pullback, whether you have shorted them already or looking to short them, or you believe that you want to get in long, but you want to pull back first, this could be the thing that gives you that. So let's have a look at RUNE, for example. Now, with RUNE, we talked about this on Sunday, and we talked about the daily vector candle, which is this red one here. So this is the high volume daily candle where price basically fell away after this little uptrend here, couldn't go any higher. Big volume came in and took price to the downside. So what we have happening right now is a return to that area, and we have not yet broken above it. So if RUNE is going to have more move to the upside, it needs to break above it. But if this was going to be a healthy trend, you actually want it to fail it now, come back to retest either the 200 EMA, which is the yellow one, or anywhere even up to the 50 EMA. But anywhere in this zone, you want it to come and create a higher low. Then you would expect it's going to go for a second attempt, and that second attempt will break through. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about RUNE. If you want to invest in it for the long term, this might be the area that you're going to get that pullback opportunity to be able to buy in at a better price than what it is now. Another thing we can do on this is, let me just grab this little guy here, and we bring it down to here. We just want to see where the point of control. So the point of control is basically where price is now, and that would explain why it's having a struggle in this zone. So you can see here, this is a high volume area. So people are happy to transact at this level. Are they transacting to short it or to long it? That remains to be seen. We see that in the candles, but also when we have a look at this on RUNE, we can see here that, so CVD gives us an idea of whether people are longing or shorting, and you can combine that with open interest. I won't go too deep into it because we'll be here till 20,050, but the moral of the story is, if we're in an uptrend and it's going up, people are still happy to long it. It's kind of flattening out, which is a little bit interesting. People might be starting to change their mind about continuing to buy at this level. And then the price, however, is basically stable, stuck inside of that daily vector candle zone. And we don't have any high level liquidations either. So the question that we also want to ask ourselves is, what is driving the price of RUNE to the upside? Is it people trading perps, people trading on leverage, trying to long and short it? In which case, if it was that, we would see liquidations like we saw back here. Or is it people spot buying because they genuinely believe in it and want to hold it for the next bull run? And so the way we decipher that is by looking at aggregated CVD spot. And so when you look at this one, you can see here that there's a rise. So there was this rise back here, which was this price action here. Then we had a little bit of taking profit. So as price moved down here, there was on spot, there were people taking profit. After that, it rose again. So maybe we're starting to pull back now, but essentially at this price, people are still happy to buy RUNE spot. And that's why you have to be, if you want to short this when the time is right, you have to be more conservative on this particular coin, because you're battling against people who are happy to buy at spot as well as leverage traders. So if I go back to the RUNE chart now I'll get rid of this and we'll have a look at the smaller time frame. I want to show you the 1 hour time frame for RUNE, because when I say we have to be more conservative on this, if you have a look back here from the start of last week, RUNE has retested the 50 EMA on the 1 hour time frame in this whole run. So retest here, here as well, and here as well. It's successfully held the 50 EMA, which means that currently the 50 EMA is acting as the dynamic support. And I much prefer dynamic supports over static ones. So a static one is when you just draw a support and resistance. It's a straight line. Wherever you decide it goes is where it goes, and you might be right and you might be wrong, and it's subjective. But it's essentially a straight line, and it doesn't move with price. You have to manually move it as price, gives you more information. But with an EMA is dynamic, so it moves with price. And when you have, oh, sorry about that noise. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but when you have that irrational behavior that we have had with RUNE, you're better off using EMAs as your support or resistance level, depending on which way price is going, because like I said, it's irrational. So as long as it's holding an EMA, you have no reason to exit that trade. But all you have to do is decide which EMA is it holding on which time frame. And so that's why I'm telling you that on the 1 hour time frame, it has beautifully held the 50 EMA right up until this point. So I personally don't think that whilst it's above the 50 EMA is an intelligent idea to short it, even though I'm a reversal trader, I'm a trend reversal trader that would normally look for the M, and I would enter on the second peak of the M. There are cases where that is just not the best idea, because look at this, for example. When this was here, if you didn't have the current price action, you may have thought this was an M. you got wrecked. There's probably many along this, not wrecked if you have good risk management, but the trade didn't work out, you know. And there's probably many times along this journey that you may have thought you were seeing an M formation. And that's why, and it only pulls back to the 50 EMA. So that's why in this particular case with RUNE, because it's in such a strong uptrend, if you want to short it, you are better waiting off until it breaks the 1 hour 50 EMA and changes structure. So that means it would have to, like this could be a final damage M right here, right now, but it hasn't broken yet. So you'd wait for it to break the 50, the blue one, come back to retest it, give you a lower high. That lower high is your entry to then write it down further. If you don't want to short it and you're just looking to buy it, you're still looking for the same pattern, because that's just going to give you an idea of where to buy it. And what you would do then is just let the short play out. You don't have to take it. You know, it's personal decision. Let the short happen. Keep an eye on these liquidation levels and line them up with a previous vector, because there's going to be an area of imbalance there. And it's likely that that's going to be the target if this actually does break the 50 EMA. And so you can see that area that I've marked out there. There's a significant level at 1.189. So should we break the 50 EMA and get that lower high, that would be the first area that I would be looking for, you know, to see if we bounce there, or is this uptrend just completely over for now? You know, there's also that possibility. So then moving on to TON, which if you guys were watching me on Sunday, you'll know that this is the one I'm hunting. This is the one I really want to catch the reversal on, simply because it's just such a delicious setup. When we have a look at the higher time frame, you can see that there's a W formation currently, but unless it can break the middle peak of that W, this has every chance of failing completely. So a W is not confirmed until it breaks above the middle peak and then comes back to retest and gives you a higher low, and that higher low confirms the W. So as you can see, we don't have that. Any time before that, it can fail and we head down even further. And if we zoom out on that, you can see we've had a lot of 50 EMA rejections on this. And then this one here is the only one that's managed to break it, but it hasn't broken it by much. So this is the daily vector candle for TON that we're waiting to see if it actually can get into that zone. And now, because of where it is, it's literally pushing right up against where that middle peak is. Now that we know where we are on the higher time frame, we want to drop down on this one to see if we're going to get that reversal signal to short this, because it will be a fairly decent trade on a lower time frame. So if we go down, I don't think there's much on the 4 hour, but let's have a little look. We're basically looking for stopping volume candles around that zone to see if it's time to short this. We don't have it on the 4 hour. On the 1 hour, so on the 1 hour, if you have a look at what is happening with our pattern here for tone, I'll just zoom out on this. All right, so here you can see this was the reversal, so inverted V. It just went into a board meeting. So this type of pattern here, so I should have drawn this a little bit better. 1 second. This pattern here that spikes down and then holds sideways for a long period of time is called a half Batman, because it's one of Batman's ears. Like, I don't make the rules, guys, but I just follow them. So that is called a half Batman, and it doesn't have a stop hunt in that board meeting. It literally just goes sideways for an extended, boring period of time. And the purpose of that is A, for the market maker to accumulate before a big move, which we can see the big move happened here, and B, for people to guess which way to trade it and hopefully be wrong so that they can be liquidity for the market maker. So this here was a half Batman that did eventually break out to the upside. This was our rise 1, retracement, rise 2, retracement, and we're currently in rise 3. So I really like the potential that this has for a reversal. I would not say it's ready yet. Again, you have to be more conservative on this entry because of how much of a run that it's had. It also hasn't yet fully touched on that daily vector candle. It is just a little bit underneath it. One good point is that we do have the stopping volume candle right here, that red one. So it's a big inverted hammer, high volume. and it stopped the momentum to the upside. But that is only where you set up. It's not where you take an entry. It's just the heads up that something may change this trend soon. So now we have to look for the follow through. What I don't like about this when it comes to the follow through is that once again, it has held the 50 EMA all the way. So if this was going to be the peak of TON for now, I would have liked it to come down, you know, maybe wick below the 50 EMA, so a bit deeper of a retracement, then come back and fail to get back into that red candle right there, then that there would be my entry and I would short it back down. So I don't think it's ready yet, but it is definitely worth keeping an eye on, because we have part one of the system, basically, right? We have part one. The key is going to be to see, can it get back into that zone and break above it, or does it get close and start to reject it? So if we go down to the 15-minute on this one, there is also something very interesting to look out for. So when you have a look at that peak on the 15-minute time frame, see here how the peak of it created this red vector candle. So that's what, if you get a peak that creates a red vector candle, always mark it out as your area of interest, because that's telling you that that is high volume saying no more. Like, I want to stop this movement to the upside. I'm not letting you go past this point. That's essentially what the candle is telling you. So now what you're looking for is weakness to get back there, because a price can go somewhere, pull back, and then just continue in the uptrend, right? That's why you don't just blindly short tops or, you know, long bottoms. You have to wait for the signal that it can't get back in that zone once it's hit it once. So far, let me zoom in on this because I want to show you this really closely. If we have a look at what's happened so far, see this wick right here that has tried to come back into the zone and failed? That's a good sign. Like, that is where you would probably think, okay, it's an M formation, we're going down, but you've got to make sure that it follows through, and it hasn't followed through yet. So I would be looking for candles that look like this, potentially a little bit more into this zone. This here is called the HOD. It's the high of the day. And what it means is it's the high of the last session. So it's the highest point that price went yesterday. And that becomes a very key level to look for rejection as well. So if this happens to come up somewhere close to the high of the day and cannot break above it, that might give you your second side M on TON. So there's still work to do. We have to watch out, but you're basically looking anywhere in this zone from where price is right now to the HOD for your second side M to give you a signal that this move to the upside on it is over. If it breaks above and breaks above this red candle, it's a no trade. You just wait even longer. I wouldn't long this where it is right now. So my only option is to be patient and wait for the reversal. So that's what you'd be doing with this. And then again, if you want to be more conservative, because like I said, it's held the 50 EMA on the 1 hour time frame, which is the 200 EMA on the 15-minute time frame, they're the same thing, then you would just let it break down and then come back to retest that, and then your entry is on the lower high. So there's always two chance entries when you trade this system, aggressive and conservative, and it's what suits your personal trade style. At the end of the day, if you want to be, it doesn't even mean that one is a better risk to reward, by the way. Sometimes you can get a better risk to reward being conservative. So don't let that be the reason that you choose one. But essentially, that's what I'm looking for. If I don't get that, there's no trade. I'm not longing this. I'm just waiting a little bit longer, see what happens if it does get into that daily vector candle zone, and at some point the right time will come for the reversal trade. Now let me see, was there anything else I wanted to show you? Totals we went through, all other markets. So as I was saying to you, you know, we have a news event coming up, or a couple of news events coming up. When they're coming up, you want to be looking at the other markets, because if they all react together, Bitcoin usually follows, and then the rest of crypto follows that as well. So definitely keep an eye on what's going on in all markets. If we have a look at the S&P, if I zoom out on this one now, it is harder to define your levels on traditional stocks, but this was an old trade setup that is almost fully played out before I was with you guys. So we have our M formation drop, what is this? Board meeting drop, retracement board meeting. It's basically almost at my final target right now. So this is where, on the potential trigger of one of those two news events, this could give us the W formation. And if it does, that is potentially a precursor to Bitcoin about to turn around as well. Sometimes Bitcoin moves first, sometimes S&P and NASDAQ move first. That's why you have to watch them, because whichever one moves first and gives you the trend reversal is a hint that the other one may do that soon as well, especially because this is basically at its final target. Not to say it can't go down further. That is just my personal trade setup. I'm not saying it's over, but this is the area that you would start to look for reversals at the news event. And if you don't get it, then fine, you just stay short. Finally, with 𝗖𝗍, it has not done anything since we talked about it last time, which I don't even know when that was, but 𝗖𝗍 is in this area of interest, which I believe is a 1 hour vector. Yeah, it's a 1 hour. Sorry, let me zoom in on that just to make sure. Yes, it's this 1 hour vector candle right here that caused the initial M formation before price. Hang on, let me do this. Before price came down, had its 1, 2, oh, sorry, no, 1, here's 2, here's 3 hits to the downside, W formation. We've had level 1 retrace, level 2 retrace, level 3. Is it all over? Are you guys starting to see the levels now? Like, let me know in the comments if you've been watching me. I'm brand new on Banter, by the way. If you guys don't know me, my name is Annii, and I've been here, I think, a week, something like that. I think it's my second week. But are you guys now, if you've been watching my shows, you're starting to identify how everything just runs in levels of 3, no matter what market you're trading, and that it makes it very easy for you to set targets. You're looking for 3 level drops, 3 level rises, hit into a high volume area, take your profit, bag flip, and that's it. Oh, Annii is new. I'm new here. I'm not new to crypto. I'm new here. But yeah, okay. Anyway, so the thing is, this is potentially where 𝗖𝗍 might give us that reversal, and there may be that inverse relationship. So really got to keep an eye on this zone. It's not breaking down below the 50 EMA. Again, they all respect the same EMAs. Add these ones to your chart: 10, 20, 50, 200, 800. Add them to your charts. One of those will act as a dynamic support and resistance for anything that you're trading. Your job is to just figure out which one it's holding at the time that you are trading. So currently 𝗖𝗍 is holding the 50 EMA. If this is going to break down, we want to see it break that 50 EMA with volume. It hasn't done it yet. So keep an eye on that. If it doesn't do it, it may be because it's holding it as support and it actually is building the steam to break through. So if it breaks through, we've got probably more downside in crypto. If it does reject here and starts giving us that volume to the downside, maybe we'll have that midweek reversal for crypto. So I think that's all I have to. Oh, actually, one more thing before I let you guys go. I wanted to show you on the difference on Bitcoin compared to what we talked about with RUNE. So with RUNE, I was telling you that people were happy to spot buy RUNE even at these prices, and that's why it's a difficult one to short. When you have a look at the exact same thing on Bitcoin, have a look here. So we have the CVD is to the downside, so people are shorting Bitcoin currently. The stable coin is flat, so not necessarily moving out, not necessarily moving in, but the spot is down. Look at this downtrend here on spot. So spot people are not interested in Bitcoin right now, certainly not in the way that they're interested in RUNE. The open interest is rising, so it basically means that the movement of Bitcoin is thanks to futures traders right now, whereas the movement of RUNE is thanks to spot traders right now. So it does mean that Bitcoin's a little bit easier to trade if you understand how to trade futures. So yeah, keep an eye on Bitcoin for its hopeful 3rd level drop. Mark your 50% Asia, see if it comes back and gives you a hint of whichever one it retests is going to give you an idea of which way the trend is going to go for the rest of the day. Keep an eye on those news events, and around those news events, if we do have our 3rd drop, start to look for that midweek reversal. That's all I have for you guys today. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.